This is in response to Dr. Paul Krugman's article in the New York Times on Friday, January 16, 2015, Frank's fear and folly. Now, I'm not an economist. I had trouble getting through the Paul Samuelson's book back in the 70s on economics back in the day, but I understand a few things. I had to take a few little cheat sheet notes here to try and keep up my understanding of this. But let's get this thing, go right into it. Again, Dr. Krugman is so important that he brings this up consistently, is that what's going on monetarily throughout the world is affecting us, and we have a lot of things that we need to do now, to protect ourselves so that we don't come into that fear and folly that might be going on. So basically, earlier this week, the Swiss franc, which had been at a point in time had been pegged to the euro, they decided to stop doing that. And they had some problems with that, and that was the fact that interest rates were going way, way down. In fact, interest rates have gone so far down in terms of the Swiss franc that I believe that it's in that deflationary stage where it's 0.05 negative interest rates. So I guess that means that you put money in the bank with them, then instead of them giving you interest, you have to give them interest for you holding the money in the bank. And in some cases, that's the best thing to do because it still protects your money the best way. Now, I don't understand, I understand them pegging the Swiss franc to the dollar, and then for some reason earlier this week they stopped doing it. And what Dr. Krugman says is all of this happened as a result of the Great Recession that started in 2008, 2009, which basically changed everything, where he has said many times before that vice and virtue got rearranged, and when up and down got rearranged. So what at one point in time saving was good, no, saving is not good anymore because we need to have spending. What happens when we save too much? That people aren't spending, and we need to have people spending. Again, that's why he's asked for an increase in the minimum wage. That's why he said that the stimulus was way too small. That's why he said that we need to do a lot of things to create more stimulus, to get more people back at work so that people will spend their discretionary income right away, especially those people at the lower end of the ladder, because they spend everything that they have because they don't have very much. If you give them more money, they're going to spend it right away, which is what we want. You give rich people more money, then they're just going to invest it in something, and then that just makes oil more expensive or something like that. So let's go into the next part of it. Is when the Swiss did this, as I said in 2008, they increased when they pegged it to the euro. Switzerland has always been a safe haven for money, so a lot more people started taking their money to Switzerland, and that obviously increased the value of the Swiss franc quite a bit. And what did it do in the meantime when that happened? It hurt competitiveness in Switzerland, and it hurt the manufacturing sector in Switzerland, because now well, that's the way it sort of goes. And, this sort of worked for a while, but at a certain point in time, it didn't work. Now, Dr. Krugman seems to think that they should have kept on doing what they were doing, but for some reason they reversed course, and he thinks that they basically should say, oh, we made a mistake, and then to go back to what it's going. But this big point about the whole thing is that, and this is what we need to watch for, because it's much worse in Europe because of all of the I can't even think of the right term again, but it's happening in Europe, it's happening in Japan, it's even showing signs of the austerity stuff is happening in Europe, it's happening in Japan, it's even showing signs of it happening in China. And of course, even though we do have austerity here, it's not nearly to the extent that it has been over there. It has been proven an incredible failure in all of those places. And if it wasn't for the stimulus that here in the United States, we might be in that same type of thing where austerity is actually creating deflation. Now, the thing about deflation, and Dr. Krugman points this out very eloquently again, is that, when you get that close to the edge, and you get sucked down, and that's what happened to the Swiss franc. Like I said, I really can't explain it like he does, but when it gets that far down, then it's tough to get back up. When you get sucked into that vortex and you go down, like all those TV shows back in the day, once they got into that time machine, they couldn't get the hell out of there. Once you get in there, it's tough to get out of there. The Swiss are feeling that right now. And it is a very, very precautionary tale. It's a clear indicator, again, that even with the economy growing, we need more stimulus. We need to have more discretionary money out there so that people will spend money as it comes in. We need to invest more in America so that we don't fall into that closeness. Because right now interest rates aren't very high in the United States either. And what does it take for some things for that stuff to go down? And now again, he also points out that all of our friends on the other side, they're all hyping about inflation. They're all hyping about the interest rates, stuff that hasn't happened in the last 6 years. Hasn't happened at all in the last 6 years. And of course, are they taking blame for any of that? Are they accepting the fact that they've been wrong? No, they're just saying it's coming around the corner right away. And of course, these are all the things that will hurt even more, that could make us fall into that deflationary vortex. And that's one thing that we don't want to do. And we need to heed the words of Dr. Krugman. We need to heed the words of let's just say, the progressive economists. And don't listen to any of that kind of crap that's coming on the Republican side in terms of deficits as far as the eye can see. We can't, investing in the government is not the right way to do. We need to invest in America. We need to invest in America now.